Welcome to the North Shore Community Association's podcast. Today is March the 2nd, 2023. Good day, everyone. This is Annie Lafrenière, the NSCA's Programs and Communications Coordinator.
Hi, this is Evelyn Audie, Executive Assistant from the NSCA.
Today, we will present an interview with Christophe James, the event coordinator of the Festival du Film de Sept-Îles, talking about the 32nd edition of Ciné-Sept, Sept-Îles International Film Festival. Then, we will cover community events and services on the North Shore of Quebec.
Today we have Mr. Christophe James, Events Coordinator from Ciné-Sept in Sept-Îles. Thank you for joining our podcast this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
I understand you are fairly new to this position, and one of your first tasks was the coordination of the annual Ciné-Sept Film Festival in Sept-Îles, which ran from February 2nd to 12th. Now that the dust has settled on the 32nd edition of the Ciné-Sept, we'd like if you could comment on how such a big festival is coordinated every year and what went well and what you would do differently.
So as it's been its 32nd edition this year, there's lots of experience coming from different people in the team, but this year was a bit new as everyone in the team, or almost everyone, was fairly new to this whole thing, including myself being in position since mid-November, and the committee around me being first years or maybe second years. So it was quite something that we were able to collectively work it out and have something that I think people appreciated. We coordinated by having different responsibilities, people being in charge of, let's say, the juries, people being in charge of the volunteers, for the trailers, for the programming, so the choosing of the movies, So by having people having different responsibilities, I was able to concentrate more my efforts in more specific situations, like, let's say, searching for partners. So this year, I wouldn't be able to say how it was compared to other years since it would be my first year, but I would say it went quite well. There's for sure things to learn from this edition, and we'll most likely more time to do it next year. So I'm pretty confident for this edition than ones coming afterwards.
I understand that this year you actually had a 30% increase as compared to 2022. What did Ciné-Sept do differently this year to warrant such a big increase?
So 30% increase is the good news that we saw shared by the cinema manager, Alexandre. He told us that we were back to numbers before the pandemic. So that gave us confidence. People were more coming back to their habits, let's say, of going out and enjoying doing things together, like going to the movies. People have made lots of comments about our visibility. We were doing different types of social media promotions. We had a contest for winning a passport for the festival. So I think the visibility was very good this year. And we had different activities that were classics that really helped bring people to do different things also, like the movie quiz night at the Edgar. And we also had an improv night with a cinema theme, which was also very popular.
I also heard that you had bilingual screenings at the library, which was quite well attended. Can you expand a little bit on that?
So the bilingual showings was in collaboration with the Public Library of Sept-Îles. So I wanted to do an activity with them in their locale, but unfortunately they had a flood situation in the beginning of the year. So we had to adjust and go to the small theater of the Sociaux. It helped us have access to a bigger screen and more space for showed Lyle, the movie that was quite appreciated. The French showing was very popular, but unfortunately for the English showing, there wasn't as much. So that would be one of the lessons to take from this year. and maybe also go for a movie that hasn't gone out to the cinema that recently. Like kids have seen it not that long ago, so maybe they weren't as interested to go out and to see it. So yeah, different lessons to learn.
Speaking of English films, how many English films did the Ciné-Sept have available this year?
So the film festival had 4 movies in English. The Triangle of Sadness, a comedy that was quite appreciated. People liked it a lot. We had After Sun. Well, some students at Queen Elizabeth High School, I believe, but mostly students from Fleming saw that movie. Also very much appreciated. It won the prize for Best Soundtrack in our jury. We also had documentary Moonage Daydream. Had lots of good commentaries about that movie too. Students of Queen Elizabeth also had morning showings of that movie. The ones who knew David Bowie really liked it, but if you don't know David Bowie, maybe it didn't click as much, but generally very positive. And the 4th movie was Stars at Noon.
Say, in your opinion, what impact do you think the Ciné-Sept has with the communities at large?
I believe that it brings people together. We try to invite people to live this experience of going out to movies that normally won't be available in the region. So I believe that going out to movies instead of staying in is refreshing. It brings us a bit back to our habits that were before the pandemic, though I do understand watching a movie on our couch is very fun. It's also worth going out to the big screen, living the experience with other people. I think for mental health, it can be a good thing to go out with people, live things collectively. So yeah, I think going out to the movies with the movie festival is generally a positive thing.
Yeah, and also helps break up the social isolation that so many people have suffered from since COVID days. So I think myself personally that it's a good cultural experience as well to view different films internationally renowned.
Yes, lots of different subjects that are presented that you wouldn't normally see, or maybe you wouldn't normally think of going to see in your everyday life. So it brings forth subjects that might be hard sometimes, but are important. An example of it was Chien Blanc, which was a bilingual movie that we had by Anaïs Barbeau-Lavalette, a movie that speaks about racism through a dog that would chase Black people, slaves.
No, it sounds overall that it was a pretty good success, opening up important discussions, breaking the isolation, and being a cultural experience. I'm just wondering, in following this vein, would you be able to share any of the upcoming events that you're currently working on that the English-speaking population may be interested in attending?
There's a couple of activities that we're helping organize, such as the showing of a movie on a ice wall at the Vieux Poste, which will be during the Festival of Les Hivernants. The next activity that I would personally propose, what my position would be the Vieux Quai en Faille, which will be coming up in mid-July. There's otherwise the festival itself will have artists I think will be interesting for everyone. We haven't announced the lineup yet. That will be coming up more in mid-March, but I believe our lineup will be for everyone.
It sounds, Mr. James, that you've had a really successful Ciné-Sept, which is very encouraging for you in your new position. And you have more on your plate coming up, especially with the Vieux Quai in July, as well as all the background work that comes with the coordination of such big events. So hats off to you.
Oh, thank you. It's lots of effort, but I think it's worth it when we see the response. All the sweat and tears was worth it.
Well, today I'd like to thank you, Mr. James, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to discuss the annual Ciné-Sept. And we look forward to next year's offerings and any upcoming events that are in the works. So we will keep checking your website.
Thank you.
On Saturday, March 4th at 10 a.m., join Amber for toddler time to celebrate St. Patrick's Day at the Sept-Îles NSCA office. We will enjoy green games, crafts, and shamrock shakes. Contact Amber to register.
Every year on March 8th, people around the world come together to celebrate International Women's Day. It's a global day organized annually that recognizes and celebrates the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. This year, the theme is Embrace Equity. Let's show our support by wearing the color purple, which is their symbolic color worldwide. Let the women in your lives know that they matter, they make a difference, and are loved and respected.
Remember to spring ahead an hour on Sunday, March 12th, as daylight time starts. Be sure to take it easy in the next few days, as an hour less sleep can be hard to manage for certain people. Take care and be kind to yourselves.
Remember to mark your calendars for the upcoming CHEP session on the topic of eating well to both prevent and live with diabetes on March 15th at 10 a.m. This session will be presented virtually, so contact the NSCA offices for information or view the registration process on the NSCA Facebook page.
Join Amber in port-cartier for a story time on the theme of springs on Saturday, March 18th at 10 a.m. at Le Manuscrit Public Library. There will be planting seeds and other spring-themed shenanigans. Contact the library to reserve your spot.
Did you know that CABs, Centre d'Action Bénévole, or Volunteer Action Centers, provide meals which are delivered to clients' homes by generous and kind-hearted volunteers? If you would like to have a hot meal delivered to your door for an average cost of $8.75 a meal, please contact your local CAB for further details or contact the NSCA office and they can assist you in accessing this service.
Would you like your children aged 0 to 5 years old to read books in English that deal with daily activities and routines such as bedtime, toothbrushing, family, sharing, bath time, manners, home, pets, and more? Check out the NSCA's Traveling Literacy Bags program. These colorful backpacks can be signed out for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. The traveling literacy bags are available in the following communities: in the NSCA office of Sept-Îles, in Alice Lane Public Library in baie-comeau, and in Le Manuscrit Public Library in port-cartier. This is the end of this week's podcast. We would like to remind you to stay informed by our Facebook page, as all services and activities are subject to change if unexpected situations arise. If you have comments or suggestions, you can email us or reach out to us through Facebook. We would like to thank our sponsor for this podcast, the Secrétariat aux relations avec les Québécois d'expression anglaise.